Hey, this is Ross Payton with Roleplaying Public Radio. This is RPPR episode 115, The Agony of Choice. And with me, as always, well, not as always, but most of the time, Tom Church.
Oh, I'm here now.
Yes.
I gotta say, that particular announcement voice, there's a spider kind of hanging in the grooves of the table here.
Yes.
It's completely motionless. The moment you start talking, it suddenly spazzed out.
Oh, yeah, no.
Your voice is like, just it's resonating with the lower creatures.
I'm like the Dragonborn. You know,
except it's tiny spiders.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you are powerful.
My home is an infestation of spiders, so stay away, burglars and thieves who would steal my precious bodily fluids for their dark magic.
Whoa there, Ross. I didn't go that crazy.
Yeah, well, sorry.
You're not really
Dr.
sorry.
Strangelove on the mind. Anyway, in this episode, we are talking about scenario design. How I've sort of been thinking about designing.
Not just scenario design. We've talked about that before.
Well, sure.
But but there's a specific kind of design you're thinking of here, right?
Yeah, it's what I'm calling player action based or focused design, where I want to design scenarios based on getting players to do certain things, the kind of actions the players I'd like to see more of in games.
Designed to help, herd the cats, as it were.
Yeah, instead of a concept or something like that. So we'll talk more about this idea, because I haven't fully thought it through. I haven't fully resolved it yet. This is an ongoing question. So, yeah, but anyways, we have some news. First off, Boiling Point, the first Space Raiders adventure is finally out for
Jawsome.
release. It's Jawsome. Thank you, Tom. It is $8 for the PDF and $15 for the print. You can get print on demand.
I toe tabbed my copy already. It's awesome.
Thank you. It is on DriveThruRPG. It will be up on the Base Raiders website by the time you hear this. And you can also order print copies off of Amazon, because why not? So it's available on all kinds of sales channels. Ooh. And it will be carried by your local game store, hopefully.
Please, metagames.
Yeah.
Pretty please.
No, I'll just go there directly. Buy my book.
For science.
Yes. So. Also in con experiences, I'll talk a little bit about this a little later. I went to Comic Palooza in Houston, had a good time.
I got a photo taken that's pissed Aaron right off.
Yes, with Joel Hodgson. I'll make that the art for this episode.
And sad Aaron face.
Oh, but you're going to a con.
Yes, I'm going to Go Play Northwest in Seattle, which is kind of more of an indie game con up there at the University of Seattle. Mm-hmm. And I will be doing my own new Base Raider scenario. And this, I'm as a kind of an added spice for it. I'm not going to actually run this game until I'm there.
Right.
So I'm going to actually just go off my notes.
Fuck it, let's do it live.
All right. And I'm going to let him know that too.
So Go Play Northwest. When is that exactly?
It is the 27th through the 29th.
And are you going to be there all day?
It's that weekend.
You're going to be there the entire time?
For all of the first day and half the second day.
Okay. And that is in Seattle?
It is in Seattle.
Do you know exactly where in Seattle?
University of Seattle campus.
All right. So I'll put links up, obviously, in the show notes. But if you're in Seattle and you're free that day, and you want to go, poke Tom and, get his precious bodily fluids.
Just so you go like, what do you want? Leave me no.
Yes, exactly. Because you're so gregarious and, extroverted, Tom. We know.
What? Shut up.
So you can go bug him and ask questions about the podcast. So good. We do have to make one sort of sad announcement. Well, not great announcement. Fear the Con. I will not be going. Because I have freelance work. I'm actually location scouting for a movie that's being shot here in the Ozarks called Tatterdemillion. They're casting people now, and they're looking for locations. And because I live here and have previously location scouted for other things.
Thank you, Larva.
Yes, the Sci-Fi Channel original film, which I've talked about on the podcast before. I am looking for places for them to shoot their movie at.
Flying vaginers.
That's Larva, not Tatterdemillion.
No, Tatterdemillion looks classier.
Yes. It is directed by Rama Mosley. She directed The Brass Teapot, which I believe is on Netflix. I actually need to check that out.
Interesting premise for it. I looked it up.
Yeah, no, it's got a great trailer. It's a magical teapot that if you hurt yourself while you own it, you get money from it. So a couple
Depending
gets
on how hard you hurt yourself.
Yes. So it's magic jackass for cash. Jackass.
Someone's already thinking that up as a game show.
Oh, yeah. So but anyways, A Tattered Amelia is a darker sort of supernatural thriller. Anyway, it looks really good, but I'm location scouting. The director's coming in, and so I will have to be working that weekend. I cannot go to St. Louis, is the point for this podcast.
Yes.
And Tom you can go, what you're just not going.
We'll see. I haven't totally decided yet.
Okay.
I'll actually post in the forums if I decide to go.
Okay. You should go.
Should I?
You should. Take Aaron with you. I'll help pay for your room. I want the RPPR to be represented there.
Represent?
Yes, exactly. Run Base Raiders for there. Run another scenario. Run two scenarios. Run
game. I don't give a shit, Tom.
Run Boiling Point. There you go. Done. Have them meet up. Have them make friends with the shark people there.
They would. The way I would run it.
Well, exactly. So you can run your version of it where you make friends instead of kill them. And
well, that's what we did.
I know. Well, you did kill some of them. You did kill one of them.
I didn't.
Well,
I'm not designed to kill.
You were part of that team.
I was, but Ross, my character wasn't designed for killing.
You had some sort of role in that combat. Maybe.
No, I wasn't the primary instigator of violence.
No, you weren't. But you're an accomplice.
Well, we're all accomplices, Ross, aren't we?
No, that's not what an accomplice means. Anyways, yeah, so Comic Palooza. I guess I'll talk about that in the shout-out section. My experiences in Comic Palooza and the Carcosa-esque experience at the airport, where I was delayed a day because of the historic flooding and rainstorms and thunderstorms in Texas. Over Memorial Day
I know what
weekend.
that's like.
Yeah.
No, I was in. I went by Amtrak to New York the day of the derailing.
Yeah. Well.
In fact, we were relaxing in the hotel room in New York when that came on. Like, oh crap! I think that was the train.
A little different for me, but yeah.
Well,
I didn't have a nice hotel room to just. I could wait there. I was in the airport for a long time.
We prepared better for things we can't possibly predict.
Oh well, that's not how. That's literally not what preparation means.
Well, that's what I'm choosing to.
Unless you're a prepper, I guess. We're getting
normal. We're getting our normal level of distracted.
Yes, banter, because that's what
that's what people want.
So let's talk about the agony of choice.
Let's do
the whole premise behind this is I've been running online games for Patreon backers, several games now,
like you do.
And I've had a lot of fun running them, and the players have said they've had a lot of fun playing in them, and you can listen to many of them even for free on the Patreon webpage. You don't have to even be a backer, or even you can. I make those publicly available,
sure,
so anyone can download those APs, actual plays. But it made me realize running an online game is different than a tabletop game, especially if you're running an online game for people you don't know. They're not as opposed to like friends or something like that.
Like a con game where you can't see them.
Exactly. And so what I've been trying to do is think about scenario design to maximize the fun for online players.
Sure.
And for me, that means what I think would be more entertaining or more engaging for the players is one where they have more input and more chances to talk, and also role play against each other. Mm-hmm. Because obviously 1 GM versus 5 players, and I hate to be the one who is like, I'm talking to 5 people at once, and they all have to listen to me, and then I get one brief thing with each one, and then I have to go just rapid fire down the line.
That's hard enough when you're sitting in front of them.
Right, but when you're sitting, when everybody's at a table, players can just reach over to each other and talk and make side plans. They can pass notes to each other.
Which you then kill them.
Yeah, well, a game master never admits that. That's the unspoken code. But there's more chance for and plus body language and just winking, nodding, like clapping, that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly.
You can't see me because it's
Yeah.
The same thing as like doing a game online.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was doing an awesome face agreeing with Ross.
Exactly. And so online players don't have that. They're more isolated from each other. And
more of their senses are taken away.
Well, that's one way. They just get fewer.
You're crippling them. It's like altered states where you're taking away some of their senses.
Wow. All right, Tom.
I just watched that the other night. Bear with me. I had to.
Yeah, no, that would be up your alley. The whole that's the one where the guy reverts into
body horror type stuff. Yeah.
But so what I wanted to do is think more about designing scenarios that are not like. Here's a lengthy intro, here's the normal situation your character starts out in, and then suddenly there's an inciting incident and something fucked up happens, and then you have to go and resolve this, which is sort of my typical tabletop design, like your firewall agents, here's your mission briefing, here's everything normal. Oh, everything gets fucked up. Go deal with that. Or Call of Cthulhu, you're normal people. Oh my god, something unnatural happened. Go deal with it. And so on and so forth. I want to minimize like exposition and that kind of stuff.
Or it's Ross Payton, now something horrible happens to all of you.
Well, I mean, that's role-playing games in general. Like, there has to be conflict.
But it's unique Ross, bad things happening to you.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. So, like, for me, that's the challenge. Like, what are the best scenarios where you have players that are talking to each other and trying to reach consensus with each other, or at least role playing off of each other? I want more of a round table experience. I want players to feel more engaged, more immersed, as it were. So I don't know. What are your? I mean, I know we talked earlier. You said you haven't run online games.
Not for like 10 years,
right?
That was a Mutants and Masterminds game, which I just pretty much when I ran that one, I kept it mainly pretty straight up action. Not a lot of, you don't have to investigate the potential super crime that's going on. It's just, okay, bam, the right wing of the museum blows open, and now they're
well, the thing for you mentioned that you're running it through messaging software.
It was AIM.
Yeah. So that's a lot different than voice, because, you have
it was all typed.
And that's easier for a player. It's a more, not quite as demanding as a voice, a Google Hangout or a Skype session. So I don't know, like, in terms of, so just regarding the online angle, if we were also talked earlier, and you mentioned that you the usual thing for you is like you come up with the premise, the concept, the elevator pitch of it. And we've talked about this before on the podcast, like Nazi war camp plus Cthulhu mythos, go, etc. But so now I'm thinking, like, how do you design a scenario based on what you want the players to be doing? And I don't mean railroading. I mean, there are different types of actions players can do. One is, for example, talking to each other. Like, I'm trying to do this, you're trying to do that, let's resolve this.
Right.
Or the other thing, of course, the biggest thing is combat, which is the GM says a thing, player 1 says a thing, or resolves one action. Player 2 resolves an action. Player 3. So everyone takes a turn, and everyone gets roughly the same time of screen time. But I don't know, other actions.
Or actually, just talking with each other or talking with NPCs and other characters. So
usually, like with talking with NPCs, it's usually like the entire party meets one NPC, and everyone gets a chance to sort of talk. Usually, the one thing, like for example, that's one thing I would like to avoid is like one player talking to one NPC for an extended period of time, because that's just one player doing that. I would want to make sure everyone gets a chance to have a chance to role play. Of course, the biggest thing I want to avoid, and this is just a general, not even specific to online gaming, is NPC 1 talks to NPC 2, because that's me talking to myself.
And I'll actually be honest, sometimes I kind of like to do that sometimes, but I always have to measure.
Well, that's our style.
But I have to measure it. I don't want to be like, okay, for the next 10 minutes, you're just going to sit there and I'm going to entertain you while I have this one-man show going on over here.
I mean, that's one of our differing in styles. I mean, you tend to run games that are more focused on, like, interactive role-playing, where we talk to people.
That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
In fact, the thing I'm going to do for Go Play. Now, I'm just going to mention that the players are all underground and cannot pass for human.
Right.
So they have to remain. But I have a lot of characters they can interact and talk with. but some of them can't do some, and some can't do others. And I'm really looking forward to them figuring out how they're going to talk to these people without being seen in public.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the players deal with that.
Yeah. That sounds good.
I'm probably going to end up stealing your one particular homeless guy.
Let's see, the one from Here's a New Arcadia.
Yeah, you know,
the one.
like him with all the religiosisms.
Yes, and socio-political ramifications.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Steal all you want.
I'm totes going to.
But that's the kind of thing. So you have combat as one example. One player talking to an NPC, all players talking to an NPC, NPC talking to an NPC, and then you also have I think the thing I really like is planning. All players talking to each other and coming to a consensus.
Because let's be honest, everyone loves the planning scene.
They do. The problem, of course, is that as a GM, you have to kind of keep them on task, and because there is a very strong point where no one can decide. Everyone dithers and we could do this, but we could do that.
And largely, it's they try to come up with a plan that would match their skill sets.
Yeah.
So it takes a group. The group doesn't always pool their skills and resources to work out a team. Sometimes it's no, we very clearly this is the only way we can do it. The thing you can do. Well, it's not my fault. I have those skills.
Right. Technically would be your fault unless you had a pre-gen.
Shut up. And the players play. Shut up. That's not true.
Yeah. So, given what I've told you about it, I don't know, for you, when you are running a game, what kind of things do you want to see players doing? What do you mean? For me, it is the planning or the kind of things where I can lay back and watch the players. Or reaction scenes, oh shit, we're fucked now, or oh my god, that's so
it is so hard to just pick one kind of scene that I really like to do. I mean, okay. I love when players start bantering, and especially when it comes naturally.
Yeah,
not every group can do that.
Right.
Luckily, a lot of the players they love to talk in character and just not even about important things. We've had 10 to 15 minute long scenes. It was just us kind of hanging out and in case the skyscraper that I lived in is Kairop and Heroes of New Arcadia. We're just talking about. So, hey, you want a Shasta soda? I got lots in there. And we could just do that for several minutes and be thoroughly entertained.
That's true. And that's actually a really good idea, too, is something more focused on role, just expressing our characters and getting into them. Caleb, we've been playing Red Markets, Caleb's game that he's developing, and he has these interlude scenes where we just role play, for example, which is our favorite movie in the Die Hard scene as we're driving. So
what's your favorite? Die Hard 1 or which one? Die Hard 1 through 8.
Yeah.
Go.
And so because it's in the future, so there's more Die Hard movies. Woo! So we had a lot of fun making up bits about the newer.
And 8 had dinosaurs in it.
Did it? It did. We didn't.
Might as well.
That. Yeah. It's canon now.
But yeah, I love it when to me, it's the best when it happens naturally. When it's just a bunch of players totally into their characters, just start shooting the shit.
Okay. So you're more focused on the sort of
I love interactions. Really love interactions.
Rather than the we must resolve the thing. We must resolve the plot. Caleb and I tend to be more plot heavy.
That's true. Yeah. I mean the plot is extremely important, and eventually you have to get back to it.
Right.
But I really just love scenes where or interaction with certain NPCs. If I work up an NPC that all the players want to talk to and interact with. I mean, dude, come on, man. The thing is, you come up with some reluctantly, oh, come on, that Balagrin the Fat cannot possibly be that awesome to you. Well, we want him in every scene now.
I had fun with Balagrin. Not gonna lie. Or
Bright Eye is actually, we really didn't want him to show up, but when he did, we're just on the outside, oh, this guy, and the inside, awesome, Ross has to do that voice again.
And that's a good point. What kind of things do you do as a GM to try and help get to those kind of scenes?
Well, first thing I do is when I start a game like that, I ask them, introduce your, especially when I'm recording, introduce your characters. And like often, like, a lot of times with me, like I'll give character sheets with their skills, but I don't include any backstory.
Okay.
So, and I encourage them to come up with some backstory.
All right.
And also, I always, like, if I want to do interaction with an NPC, I'm really going to think of that NPC and how I want to word him.
Yeah.
And I'll try to do a voice if it's a voice I can do.
Right.
If it's like an accent that I know I can't do, I'm not going to do it. Like if I have a Japanese character who doesn't speak English very well, and I have to do, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's kind of racist.
Yeah, I mean, German I do because I think I can kind of do it.
Right.
And no one's told me differently yet, so...
Yeah, I mean, well, the Germans are just so polite and reserved. They have a hard trouble expressing their true.
They totally do.
Yeah, they would be. It would be so impolite for them to do that. They wouldn't do that. They're not direct and straightforward.
No, not at all. not, and they're not vulnerable to groupthink or anything like that.
Well, I mean, that's humanity.
That's humanity.
So those are good points, and actually, that's a really good idea. And the actual one of the more recent games I ran, which is a Call of Cthulhu game, I just let players make their own characters. I gave them a link to buy a key and said, I'll have pre-gens. If you don't, you can make a character. And like two of the players came up with backstories for their character, and I was like, holy shit, that's awesome.
I mean, if it's possible, I do like to let the characters make their characters.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to do, like if it's a game where I have advance warning, I can tell them like okay, hey, I'm going to do a Call of Cthulhu game.
Yeah.
Next week. I'll have some pre-gen, but make some characters.
Sure.
But once again, if you're doing like a con game, you got to have pre-gens handy.
Well, yeah.
Unless it's like an indie game where character creation takes 5 minutes.
Right. Or Cthulhu Dark.
Yeah, or Cthulhu Dark. But in this case, when you have to make pre-gens, you got to make sure it's up to the players to come up with backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, I can come up with character history, which is the pre-gens I'm going to use for for base raiders. I'm going to come up with their histories and how they arrived at their places and kind of how their personalities go, but I'm really going to leave the details up to the players.
Okay.
But I'm going to encourage that because, well, that's, as I said, I'm trying to naturally encourage that to happen, but not force it.
That's a really good idea, and I will definitely do that in the next online game I run, where there will be a focus on giving players more chance to role play their characters and show who they are. That's a really good idea. I should do that because I tend to be, especially in the first games I ran, like the evac is like, you are whoever you want to be. I don't care. Here is your template. It was Eclipse Phase, so pick a template. You pick one of their pre-generated characters. You're here. Here's the mission. How do you do it?
Yeah. You know what? I still, to this day, I believe that's why I didn't like Night's Black Agents.
Okay.
Because it literally was, I just picked a template.
Yeah.
Turns out I'd love to see a sniper forger in some movie or whatever. A world-class forger who's also American sniper.
Yeah. That makes a more memorable character.
But yeah, I bet I knew if I'd been able to think of some backstory for him.
Yeah.
I think the game I would not have been as opposed to it.
Okay.
Which is why I'm sure if you ran it again,
yeah,
Night's Black Agents, and I had a chance to do that, I'm pretty sure I'd be just fine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've talked that to death.
But it's an example.
Yeah, it is an example. And certainly, so that will certainly help me for my own mind.
And I think that's what got me through a lot of my Rifts and Palladium playing.
Ignoring this, yeah.
Character creation took so long.
Yeah.
That as I was doing it, I'm like, I had lots of time to think up of a backstory for this person. So yeah, by the time I finally got all those goddamn numbers on the sheet, I knew this guy's social security number.
Fair enough.
So I was playing a god awful non-Euclidean mess of numbers, but he was a non-Euclidean mess of numbers that I knew everything about.
And that's a good point. But so going back to the online games, one other thing that for me is, I'm describing a complex situation. Like, you're here to evac people from this hospital. It's surrounded by just a mob of crazed rioters. They're totally deranged or infected with some version of the Exsurgent virus. Of course, this is Earth during the fall, so you don't know that. And so there's a ton of shit going on. And so for me, it's, one, for me, the problem, I felt like I had to boil things down into like a choose your own adventure. Do you do A, B, or C? And let's see how the dice go. Instead of, I think I allowed player input, but like also with online games, it's harder for players, I think, to.
When you don't know them and they don't know each other,
and you're online, so it's harder to get that back and forth. Like here at the tabletop, I can get a piece of scrap paper on. Here's this,
yeah.
and I know there's sketching tools and shit like that, but that takes more time and more effort.
And also like when you're at a table and like one person has an idea, you can tell like they can like raise their hand but when it's online, it's very easy to start stepping over everybody.
So, maybe I should try and structure the scenario so it's not focused on such hugely complex set pieces. Something that allows really good input for everybody. Some role for everybody. And I'm trying to find a modicum of between complexity versus playability.
Right.
And I don't want combat against one big boss monster because everyone rolls to hit and I crit this guy. Oh, well, fight over. Good job. I don't want a boring fight, and I don't even necessarily want to fight, but I want something interesting but not too complex, playable. And I don't know. I guess I'm looking for what is the perfect encounter. What is the perfect? What for you when I'm mentioning these things? Does anything pop in your head? Have you had any really good experiences with something that was hit that sweet spot?
To me, when I'm doing a game like that, I agree. A single boss monster, it just eventually just goes down to roll the hit, damage, he attacks you, bloody. And also, I think on the other end, just a whole huge mob of mooks.
Yeah,
I think that's better than a boss monster,
but
because everyone can do their own thing. But eventually that gets down to. Like, oh, hey, are we done killing them? Yeah, no, we got more to kill.
Yeah. For me, I think actually the first thing I did, and the one I'm describing is the evac, Eclipse Phase evac, which you can listen to on the Patreon page, I think it actually worked pretty well, because what I did was, here's the overall task. Get these 2 VIPs out of the hospital. Wait for it to show up. Secure the hospital until that happens. And then there are a bunch of different ways you can do that. You could zip line across the street and take out the snipers that are harassing you. You could reinforce the guards at the lobby and help them kill guys. You could grab the airdrop sentry turrets and set them up. And so each player broke down and did their own task. And so that worked out pretty well, I think, for that first thing. But I think where it kind of fell down is like, you're in the helicopter, you get attacked by a giant sky monster thing, and
right.
And the players are like, well, we shoot at it. Okay, you shoot at it. Well, all right.
Yeah. Well, back when I did my online game, what I did for combat is I didn't do a boss monster, and I did not do just mooks.
Yeah.
But I actually had they were a superhero team, and there's a villain team going after what they're supposed to go after.
Yeah.
And they had like files on all of them and like what they believe some of their names and what we think some of their potential powers are.
Yeah.
And then they encountered like 1 or 2 of them at a time. So it's a concentrated fight with some challenge, but it doesn't get down to just whittling down a mountain of hit points.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of had it where like, okay, like you have no description. So like, is this guy their lightning thrower, or is he the guy that can turn incorporeal? Because because you have a surprise round, but if we do this thing in the surprise round, it's going to be totally worthless. And
okay, so some ambiguity, kind of like,
and I think more like a medium challenges rather than either one heavy challenge or just endless hordes of 1 hit point mooks to blow away. You know
what I think? It sort of gave me an idea. Instead of a fight, a task. You have a predefined task, but there are multiple, but it's open-ended and it's a sort of a chaotic situation. So the players have multiple ways of trying, and they can all split up or team together to complete it. So the first thing that comes to my mind as you're talking is a manhunt. The players have to find a fugitive, and he's escaped in this area. And so each player, in fact, I think I'll do that. I think I'll take some of the things where everybody gets to make their own character and do a manhunt. Find this guy, he's in this city. And so each player will have, they can either team up to make, we'll just search all the phones, we'll you know,
Look at his files, find
Yeah.
people he knows.
Yeah, and look at their cell phones, you know. Or I will go to I'll hunt down his known associates and try and grab them and interrogate them. Or I will go to the scene where he escaped and try.
Or
and
he
pick up
likes
the trail.
gambling. I'll go to all the casinos.
Right, or exactly. So like allow players to contribute. So every single thing they do provides a single clue that contributes to the same thing. So I guess maybe something like that, or like you could do another one like, oh, you have to build fortifications, or you have to defend, there's a horde of barbarians or zombies or mutants or whatever coming. You have to defend against them. How do you do that? So like, oh, well, I'm a social character. What can I do? Well, you can go to the nearby tribe and negotiate with them for their alliance.
I'm gonna go to the guy. I'm gonna go to the fortifications expert guy I heard about. That guy's sick.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'm just a big strong warrior. What can I do? Well, you can train the other dudes to fight better. It's an evil. So it's sort of like a training montage kind of thing. I don't know. Any other ideas come up with that? Like a single overall task, and everyone can contribute to it in many different ways. I think maybe that's the key for these online games. What other thing?
Or I think another one like hunting, like finding an assassin before he strikes.
Okay, so a little like the Manhunt, but like
but
you don't even know who he is.
Right, but he has his target.
Yeah, you know the target. You don't know anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be multiple people. So yeah, you're the Secret Service. Protect.
I will admit, like I watched the Mark Wahlberg movie Shooter.
Yeah,
and that was what the first part of it was, like hunting an assassin who's going to kill the president.
Yeah,
and I really like. It's actually I surprised me, kind of an engaging part. Well, okay. I'll say this: like the first part is, like we want you to plan the assassination of the president, so we can stop it.
Yeah,
and so it shows him going to all this different cities, finding out like, well, this city's no good. There's no lines of sight.
Yeah,
but yeah, the whole part then leading up to the big overall meta plot, which slows down a bit, but then picks up.
Yeah,
I'll say, but it's that first part was I could see a scenario of someone's going to assassinate VIP.
Yeah,
and you're hired to stop it from happening.
Yeah, so you have this starting clue, or maybe 2 or 3 clues, so everyone can protect them, or you could ignore the clues and just reinforce security, or change the schedule, or do whatever.
You might know one thing, like he's known to be a sniper, so it's probably going to be from a distance.
Right. So many different ways to success, like focus on the clues, focus on the security, or split up,
or if you along those same lines, another great movie to watch. It's pretty crazy, but Smoking Aces.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's like
we saw it together.
like this guy. There's this huge bounty put on this guy,
Yeah,
like there's like 6 or 7 different groups of assassins that come in, all of them with their own specialty. Like there's a guy that's a master of disguise.
Yeah.
There's snipers.
Right. I've seen it. I know I saw it. Like I ran a game of Scion, the White Wolf game where you play godlings based on that, smoking aeons. Did you play that?
Yeah, I was in it.
Yeah, that was the one with the Pegacorn, the Pegasus unicorn. Patrick and Korea, back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yes, great.
Because we're old.
Yes, well, everyone's old in a cosmic sense. I mean, we're made of star stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's billions and billions. Yeah, no, I think, I've made some progress. This thinking through has sort of
Well,
helped.
you're welcome, Ross. I still hate you.
Oh, wow. That huge thing. I don't know.
Come on, if we recorded the average drive to Gen Con, you'd think we were bitter rivals out to kill each other.
Yeah, more or less. Passive-aggressive rivals, at least.
Oh, yeah. It's like, perhaps I'll kill you, or perhaps I shan't kill you. I don't know.
That's true. So that, I guess that works as the main plot. Any other things about like other types of actions you'd like to see?
And once again,
do?
like I said, the planning scene.
Planning scene.
Because remember, my Payday game?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like I gave you the thing you had to do.
Yeah.
And for God, I think a good 45 minutes of game time. It was just you working out the plan to do it.
Yeah.
And what I loved was like everyone had, they had their skills, the character sheets on the skills they had on the sheet, and everyone worked together like to so everyone got to utilize their own skills to work a plan.
Right.
I think it's easier when you can see everybody.
Yeah.
But I think you could actually work that out in an online game.
I mean, the thing is, with online gaming, there's a lot of advantages, too, that you don't have in tabletop games. I mean, you can pull up web pages, and you can pull up Google Maps and be like, you're here, motherfucker. It will take you this long to get there.
Or he's wielding this weapon.
Yeah. They do have sketching and planning tools. Like, you can draw maps online or do flowcharts and shit. Like, there's all kinds of apps for Google Hangouts that I haven't even explored, which I really need to do. I mean, you can do screen shares and stuff like that. So
sound effects.
Yeah, that could be another thing. And so there's a lot. I barely scratched the surface. I know I should be getting the Drunken Ugly guys because they are fucking pros at online gaming with all their Skype games. Hey, Drunken Ugly guys.
Free shout out. Matt. You're awesome.
You are. They ran Boiling Point again.
So they're totes awesome.
Yeah. So
when the revolution comes, they will be
happy to run Divine Fire if you ever publish it.
I'm working on it now.
Okay. You better. I don't know.
Or what?
I don't know. The fans will be disappointed, Tom.
Oh yeah, when you put it that way.
Yeah, Jesus, Tom. It's the listeners. It's for the listeners. Like the kids.
What the hell was that voice?
It's like for the kids. It's for the listeners.
Right.
Oh, you weren't in Better Angels. It was a whole thing.
No, I wasn't.
It's for the kids.
I had a character that were I do remember the one thing like when the demon and you hit the fucking jackpot with your guy. He's halfway to hell already.
Pretty much. You would not have lasted the entire campaign.
I would not.
My character did very bad things, but he didn't mean to because he was a very foolish character. And that's the justification I will stick to.
Foolish man.
Yeah.
Brave, but foolish.
So... any other type of thoughts that you like you see anything you don't want to see players doing? I mean, obviously for me, it's like one player not getting their share of this time. Like I know one player's been silent too long, I'll be like, ugh. And because I definitely don't want someone to check out during a game, just like, fuck.
Yeah, I don't want one character to take over.
Yeah,
which has happened before.
Yeah, and
sometimes it's not even them stepping over people; it's just they're the loudest and most assertive.
Yeah.
Like I've had a game where I have had one really assertive person and kind of four, more passive people.
And that happens with games with cons, games with not random, but different, unknown players. Mm-hmm. That's not been so much of a problem here. It happens every once in a while.
Well, we know each other.
Yeah.
That's one of the total advantages of running the game at the table for people you know.
Yeah. What about difficulties for me? Like players are. I mean, we have had a lot of episodes, a lot of airtime devoted towards dealing with player difficulties. Players arguing with each other, PvP type stuff. You obviously want to avoid that for con games.
I'll say with the arguing, if it's in character, I'll let it go for a minute or two.
Yeah.
Because that can still be. Come on, that's a big part of characters in movies or whatever interacting.
Well, yeah, conflict.
But yeah, when it gets down to it's just I can tell it's a player yelling at another player.
Yeah,
that's when you're like, all right, guys, come on.
Yeah.
That's when you have to, as we said on our how to take charge as a GM. You gotta okay, we're getting sidetracked here.
Yeah.
But always do something. It's not like you guys need to shut up. It's more like, all right, let's all get focused and
yeah. It happens, and you can't be like you rule with an iron fist and like totally control players. You because I mean the whole point is to have fun, not to bend them to your will. So if they
but when two players are like he was standing where I wanted to stand,
oh god,
you're like just okay,
yeah.
How about we'll all take a 5-minute break and
yeah.
I think sometimes just taking a quick break can be great.
That's true. We tend to here at RPPR tend to run them pretty lean and mean, I guess.
But we have lots of inter-game banter.
Yeah, we have banter, but we tend to run games that are really focused on the plot, like especially when Caleb's running. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when I run, I don't know if I always do it, but it's like the plot. Do the thing.
I've been more kind of a narrative GM.
You do really focus on the interactivity, the role playing with NPCs and stuff like that. So, there's an appreciative style, So, yeah. So this is part of an ongoing thing. So I will try these things out. I will do a manhunt. I know the next game I run, based on this idea, is that players will make their own characters. They will get to role play them, introduce them, and we will do a manhunt. So the players will be hunting for a dude in a city.
Yeah, when they're like, tell me something about your character.
Yeah. So I haven't even, and notice I have not mentioned
what the system
is, what the era is, who they're chasing, why they're chasing him.
Will there be zombies?
Probably not. I'm not going to run red markets yet.
Okay.
I will be running red markets at some point. Actually, that would be a great idea for a job, is finding a fugitive in the fucking loss. So...
What, surrounded in a forest stronghold with booby traps everywhere?
Maybe not. That are you referencing something? I can't even tell anymore. No,
I'm not referencing. I'm just saying, like, I saw some guy at the hunt down who's holed up and.
Well, the whole point of a manhunt is you don't know where he is. If you do know where he is, it's a siege. You just roll up to his place and, tell him to come out, or you'll set it on fire. I mean, I imagine that's what they do in red markets. It's not,
Well, yeah. It's like, seriously, we don't have to worry about, burning down infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Besides, I've seen enough movies. We hate infrastructure.
Well, yeah, no, fuck infrastructure. The Michael Bay theory of.
Yeah, dude, I watched San Andreas.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Scientifically researched.
Yeah, I mean, the swarm event is a real thing.
Yeah.
But I will say that you know what? No, actually, instead of a letter, I'll briefly talk about that movie.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of mentally comparing it to the last disaster movie I saw, which was 2012. And 2012 made me physically ill and angry, and this one did not.
All right, well, there we go. We'll be right back as Tom reviews San Andreas as his letter. So,
but it won't be a total letter, because I'll expect Ross to jump in with his own shit, too.
Oh, I see. For a movie I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Versus a movie I hated. All right.
Interaction.
All right, and we're back. So, Tom.
All right, so, yeah. Okay. Yeah, when I watched 2012, I was with you, I remember.
Yeah.
And we were both leaving it kind of... I was a little physically nauseous and angry. Like, why did... Like, boy, they just hit every fucking cliche. And then they rammed it down my throat with a chimney sweep.
Pretty much.
And then I recently watched San Andreas, and I groaned once. But when I left, I'm like, I don't feel that way. Why? I mean, it's a smorgasbord of destruction. Why didn't I feel that way? And I actually, it kind of bugged me, so I thought about this for a while. And the differences between 2012 and San Andreas that make San Andreas the better movie. First of all, San Andreas is much more focused in area. Mm-hmm. It's mainly 2 cities.
Okay.
So we're not just all over the goddamn world. It's just jumping and and that was, and 2012 was like, let's jump over here and destroy a bunch of landmarks over here.
Yeah.
And now let's jump over here. And in fact, besides a couple, they left the gratuitous landmark destruction wasn't in there.
Right.
It was pretty much just showing the cityscape itself kind of crumbling to pieces. But I mean, yeah, there's the Hollywood sign tumbling down, and like a tidal wave hits the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
But other than that. And there was also, I think, is also the protagonist lent himself better to a disaster movie. Like John Cusack, like a failed writer and family man, is the survivor, right? Versus The Rock, who is like
Dwayne Johnson.
Who was, his character was a former Marine and now a fire department air rescue guy, right? Like this guy could survive, and also like. His daughter he kind of largely brought up his daughter with his wife, so his daughter knows a lot of stuff he taught her. So there's a reason she would know how to access a landline from a credit card so she could make a phone call to her dad and all this shit. So I bought it more. and I think the biggest thing I noticed, there was no animal. The dog that miraculously survives. You know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. I blocked that out of 2012.
Not just 2012, but like
Independence Day.
Independence Day. Dante's Peak.
Oh yeah, Dante's Peak.
There's always a dog, especially 2012. Like Bull, like, well, that Russian's trophy wife, her 2 dogs survived, even though, like, the rest of humanity is dead, but those 2 dogs are alive.
All I remember about 2012 really are the scenes that look like fucking Xbox video game, like cutscenes or something, where it's like the little Cessna flying off the airstrip being chased by a fucking earthquake as the world's tearing itself apart. Oh, we're flying around skyscrapers as they're falling. It's totally like a video game.
And once again, there was a scene like that in San Andreas, like where the guy's on the phone with his wife, who's like having dinner at this like rooftop restaurant when the earthquake hits. So he's literally like a couple of miles away in a helicopter, so it makes sense that an air rescue happens.
Dwayne rescues his wife from a rooftop. All right.
Well, he's on the phone with her the moment the earthquake hits.
Okay, all right.
And yeah, I will admit, his wife has a lot of cinematic close calls. But but he also like because he is literally in downtown, so he does have to escape some of the skyscrapers because that's where he is. But
right.
And that one, he was at the Santa Monica airport. So you could have just taken off and turned that way.
It's interesting in your review, your comparison of the two. You're talking about the mechanics of the disasters themselves and the protagonist rather than like the quality of the editing, the acting.
Which is actually the acting is better.
Story.
The acting is definitely better.
Okay.
Like I'll say, like say what you will about The Rock, he's a pretty good actor.
He is very charismatic.
Very charismatic. All the rest of the characters and the actors in the movie did perfectly well.
Yeah.
No one's going to win an award.
Right.
And also there was no little girl like, yes, your daughter still wets the bed. Like, thanks.
Okay.
Or like, God, the one thing that made me ill at the end, like, Daddy, like, I don't wet the bed anymore. Like, after I saw civilization fall.
Holy shit, kid! I forgot that.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, that is fucked up. That is some Hitler level shit right there.
And also, but once again, but the scenes, like the actual scene, the disaster scenes, there's no shaky cam.
Yeah.
They keep it oftentimes like wide shots, nice and still, so you can see what's happening.
Okay.
And although all right, spoiler alert.
Okay.
The last scene of the movie, which is the one time I actually out loud went, "Oh, really? Come on!" There's everyone, they're all the survivors now, like on the hills that are surrounding San Francisco, and they're having their kind of talking like, "Hey, we're like, man, we survived this, man," which is fine and not the best. But then his wife asks, it's like, "Hey, so what do we do now?" And then he looks out, and that's when like suddenly it seems like these 2 fire rescue helicopters fly over. The music starts soaring, and the helicopters are flying normally, but then they're flying over the ruins of the Golden Gate Bridge, where just an American flag that had gotten kind of wrenched up in the way slowly just comes unfurled, slow motion, and then it goes back. There's this dramatic pull into Dwayne Johnson's face. We rebuild.
Oh, that's lame.
It's lame.
I thought you and you're gonna groan out loud. It's like a fucking tentacle pops out of the water.
Dude, if it had a tentacle popping out of the water, I'd be like, awesome. I can't wait for the sequel. This better be a sequel now. But no, that's the one scene that.
Or if everyone just like the Earth, there was an after tremor and everyone just fucking died. Like just Earth pops up.
If they had actually done that, I'd be like, well, that'd be more. Well, that was unexpected.
That escalated quickly.
Rapidly. But no, is like they avoided jingoism and America until that scene.
Right.
At that point, it is just a guy trying to save his daughter.
Right.
There's, we're not talking about because it's the American way. It's what we do. It's more just we gotta get to our fucking kid like right now.
All right. So out of it, our scale from 0 to 10, existential threats to humanity, what would you rate 2012?
Existential threats to maybe 0 meaning this movie.
Meaning is you interpret that as you will.
I'll say 0 meaning this is a movie that exists only to make
I'll say as thrilling as this many existential threats facing humanity at the same time. So 2012.
2012.
How thrilling is it? You can use other massive disasters or cataclysms as your guide.
I'll say to me it's only a 3.
Okay, what is that? What is that? Is that like Hindenburg, watching the Hindenburg from a nearby, or being on the Hindenburg?
I'll say being on the Hindenburg, and here's why. Because it just keeps switching to different disasters too quickly.
All right.
This one, it is just one disaster.
Okay, so the San Andreas, 0 to 10, in terms of as thrilling as what cataclysmic event? 6. And what cataclysmic event would you being, say?
I'll say, okay, being on one of the islands nearby Krakatoa.
Okay, wow, that is thrilling. So was it a very loud movie?
Yes, it was a very loud movie. But once again, it just seemed more real. I mean, even as unrealistic as it was, it just seemed 20 times more realistic because it is a disaster. It's actually something that I could almost see somewhat being feasible in the realm of science, like a whole fault system going at once.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, you heard it here. 6 out of 10 existential threats to humanity. As thrilling as being near.
As far as going as thrilling.
Right. As thrilling as being near Krakatoa.
I can't think of what a 10 in that would be.
Probably dinosaurs. The meteor that destroyed all the dinosaurs.
There you go.
Being within viewing distance of that. That'd be
or the eventual red giant phase of the sun.
Well, that hasn't happened yet, so
that's true. Yeah,
that's sort of a theoretical. That would be like an eye on the scale. So, imaginary number.
7 or 8, I could see being like the Santorini eruption, which wiped out the Minoan civilization.
All right,
which gave rise to the theory of Atlantis.
You know a lot about cataclysmic events.
I strangely do.
They're kind of your jam.
It's my jam.
All right. So when we get back, we'll have shout-outs and anecdotes.
See you then.
And we're back.
Swish that around in your mouth for a while. How does it taste?
Well, very good. So, in shoutouts, first off, I would like to mention a role-playing game that I recently received because I backed the Kickstarter for it, and that is Iron Eddas. And you saw it.
I saw it.
The premise, it is a Fate core game. The premise is that you are Vikings fighting off an invasion of dwarves in the Viking era, but the dwarves have giant robots.
Steam robots.
Magic. It doesn't really specify what powers them. It's a very thin role-playing game. And your normal Viking dudes, but you find a way to become giant by possessing the bones of dead ice giants, or so you can become as big as one of the dwarves. So you're like you as a Viking hover in the rib cage, magically suspended as you possess the ice giant skeleton and fight. So it's a very heavy metal album cover kind of game.
I can tell the type of soundtrack you would need for that game.
Yes. Something Scandinavian with some Cookie Monster, type singing, and
Scandinavian metal,
and at least 2 or 3 convictions of burning down churches among the band members.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's the kind of album you would need. So. Overall, I like the game. It's very thin. It's very light.
Yeah.
The artwork is actually kind of watercolor, black and white. It's a hardcover book and it's got glossy pages, so nice presentation.
But I've seen the artwork. They're a little vague and foggy.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see some fucking badass, dwarven mecha or stone giants. I mean, there's
the After Ragnarok book. That's got some epic imagery in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just flying the bomber into a snake's eye that fills up the entire
right,
sky.
And that's black and white too. And so, this raised $19,000 on Kickstarter. I would have thought
that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, I thought they would have had a better art budget. But I'm being just persnickety. It has some interesting rules hacks rule hacks for Fate core, including like a setting creation system where you roll the dice to pick which questions. There's like 96 questions you can ask of your setting. Like, there was a recent controversy in your village. What is that? And so the players can collaborate to create a setting. Like, what is your little region around, and what are the threats you have to face exactly, and that kind of thing. They also have interesting rules for size and scale. So like normal dudes cannot damage something that's mecha sized.
No,
but you can. They treat them as like locations, and you can climb on there, and you can put aspects on them. So you could like tie their legs up with rope, or plug up the steam vents, or something like that. So you have to work together to inflict stress, damage on them. And there's even, aside from the mecha, like human scale, mecha scale, and then like epic scale, which is like, the Midgard serpent or something utterly ridiculous like that.
Yeah, kind of like Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah. So there's multiple sizes scale. Well, it's actually like in terms of role playing games, like Big or Bads, like how there's multiple levels of size, and so there's some interesting stuff in there. So we'll probably do a one shot of it at some point to try it out. But I just want to give it that's out, so you can go check it out.
Speaking of Vikings,
yes.
This is. I think this is pretty well known by the internet by now, but
by us. But I kind of want to do a shout out for it, simply so people will not just like spam my inbox.
Like, have you seen this?
Yes,
Kung Fury.
Because I got like about 1 billion notifications for True Survivor. So, but anyways, Kung Fury.
Yeah, Kung Fury. It's finally here.
Yeah.
For those who participated in it and donated to it, it's here, and yes, it is every bit as 80s delicious as you imagine it is.
Yeah.
It has Vikings.
It has Thor. Yes.
A very like an elderly bodybuilder Thor. Which
yes.
I think is even better.
So yeah, it's a 30-minute film that was financed through Kickstarter. They raised $650,000 for it in December, like 2013. I looked it up recently, and they finally came out like last week or a week or two ago. And it's about a cop from the 80s who goes back in time to fight Hitler.
Well, first he's mutated into a kung fu master.
Well, that's it. That's his
origin story.
Yeah, training montage. Yeah, or montage. So yeah.
But he goes back in time to kill Hitler.
Yes, that's the basic plot.
Because he's the worst criminal in the world.
Yes, Kung Fuhrer. Kung Fuhrer. So they're going to make this into a feature-length film, is what I've been told, or what has been said on the internet.
Here's a 30-minute thing.
Yeah. Here, well, that's all he had the money for. So
because it turns out making movies is expensive.
Yes, when you have that many special effects and the Hoff.
Hoff.
The Hasselhoff makes a cameo, and it's very
and yes, I've gotten a lot of messages myself like, have you seen Kung Fury? Because dude, have you seen this one his partner? Like, yes, I've seen his partner.
Well, why would they say that, Tom?
Because his partner is named Triceracop.
Is that just a name?
It's not just a name, because he's also a Triceratops.
Yes, who likes shooting people in their junk.
Yep, and has a very upper crust British type accent.
Yes.
Hello, Kung Fury. But there's also a talking T-Rex in it.
Yes, there is.
Which I more felt drawn to that one because that's more my kind of play style is carnage and violence and tearing people apart. But then like friendship is important.
So 30 minutes. I mean, we're kind of spoiling some things, but whatever. It's 30 minutes.
Dude, if you haven't seen it by now, what the hell?
Yeah, go watch it. Next up. I'd like to mention a podcast Kale told me about, Flip the Table. They review board games, but they review terrible board games.
Ooh.
So I listened to one episode where they review the Vanilla Ice electronic rap game.
Which apparently is a thing.
It exists. It is a thing that exists where you have to like... The rhymes are like half pre-made, and so you just fill in... It's like Mad Libs, but worse.
But it makes you dirty.
It actually, there's like a mic that will like set out a beat, and you have to rap whatever you come up with because there's only so many words you have available to you. So it's pretty much a terrible game. Anyways, but they had a lot of fun. Like I listened to it on my trip to Comicpalooza. And I should mention that. So, Comicpalooza, I went down Memorial Day weekend. It was in Houston, Texas. I went with my former scriptwriting professor, Diana Botsford, who now writes Stargate novels, official Stargate novels. So, I've read some of them. They're very good, actually.
Okay.
And she's working on more. And I went down there just, hey, I have a guest room. You can stay. I'm like, all right, sure, I'll go. And so I recorded panels. I sold books. I made contacts.
Did drugs?
No, of course not. I would never do that. That would be wrong. So
Winners don't do drugs.
Exactly. So, I'm posting the panels on the podcast, as you've probably heard some of them by now. And I met Joel Hodgson, which will be the art for this episode, the photo I had taken with him.
The one where Aaron goes, "Fuck you, Ross."
No, he's just like, I'm jealous. Aaron would never say something like that.
He totally did. Totally did.
The only downside, or actually, it was actually worked out kind of well for me in a way, is that, Memorial Day weekend in Texas, there was historic flooding. There was like 11 inches of rain in one night.
Totes cray.
It was totes cray. So my flight was I had two flights, one from Houston to Dallas and then Dallas to Springfield. My flight from Houston to Dallas was delayed because of technical maintenance reasons, actually. So when I got to Dallas, I missed my original connecting flight. And then I rebooked by calling their 800 number. By the way, if you're ever traveling and you need to rebook your flight because you missed a flight or whatever, use your smartphone, use the internet, find the 800 number that you can call up, and use that. Do not do not wait in line for the agent. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but there would be like 50 people to 200 people waiting to talk to one person who is just overworked and tired.
I experienced that. In 2013, like a bunch of thunderstorms had hit Chicago.
Yeah,
and me and Aaron were flying in there.
Yeah,
and there were like 5 billion people waiting in line. There was 3 agents in this line.
Right,
and it took us an hour to get up there. When we finally did, actually, the first thing I said was, "It's been pretty crazy, huh?"
Yeah.
So I was like, I decided to be really nice.
Yeah. But no, that's the thing is I rebook my flights in minutes because I found the 800 number and I use that. So because they have a lot more people in the 800 number than they do at any given airport. So be a smart traveler. Use the resources you have available to you. So I rebooked my flight, but that flight sat on the tarmac for 3 hours. And then they canceled the flight at like midnight. Took an hour to get my gate check bag out. And so by then it was like 1:30 in the morning. And so I'm like, well, my rebook flight was at noon. And I didn't want to spend 10 hours in the airport waiting for my fucking flight. Mm-hmm. So I used Expedia, thanks Expedia, to find a hotel that was nearby. I found the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport and Conference Center Hotel.
That sounds not sketchy at all.
Oh my God, it was so sketchy. It was like $40. And
we all know the kind of places you get for $40.
Yeah, the fitted sheet popped off my mattress, and so when I looked at it in the morning, there's like a fist-sized burn in it, and just a massive stain on the dark stain on half of the mattress.
Did you feel dirty afterwards?
I didn't care at that point. I just didn't give a shit about anything.
I said most people that stay there by that point they don't.
I got there at 2 a.m. and I woke up at 8, so I didn't but the thing is, the reason why it's a good thing is that I'm doing Ruin, a horror game about architecture and crazy, weird descent. And the first setting for Ruin is going to be a hotel that is basically Carcosa. So this was great research for Ruin.
There you go.
At least that's what I keep telling myself. And I showed you the video. The sign outside the hotel was glitched out in a really weird Zalgo text kind of way. And it was just really fucked up. So I got back and I got home, but holy shit, that was an interesting experience in of itself.
It's a nice feather in your cap, though.
Yeah. That yay travel. Take that lesson. Always use your fucking smartphones. Don't just Oh my God! If you have to do that,
call people.
Yeah. Call people. Use the phone. Figure out how you can exploit. I was in problem solving mode. I mean, that's the thing is, I think gamers in general, we want to solve problems, and we how can I get home as quickly as possible instead of just trusting the system to take care of us.
That's like trusting the GM.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't do that.
No, you have to be proactive. So you had a couple.
Yeah. Speaking of. Effed up areas.
Yeah, all right.
I've been playing kind of got into the browser game Echo Bazaar.
Yeah.
Which is kind of dark Victorian London.
Right.
Yeah. And what kind of got me into it was you can do I'm a badass fighter thief guy.
Yeah.
You can also be a poet is actually one of the classes.
Right.
And writing And I didn't realize I could have so much fun just hobnobbing with people in a browser game. Or at one point, like
it's very well written.
Yeah, and I invited a friend to dinner.
Right.
And for some reason, I got a lot of gamer thrill out of just doing something simple like that.
Yeah.
Because I realized another reviewer of the game said the same thing, and I agree. Like, when was the last time you played a game and just took someone out to dinner and it felt awesome?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those games that I can't play for long periods.
Right.
And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you have action points that refresh, but like 1 point every 10 minutes. So you can like do your maximum 20 points worth of stuff, and you can pay real money to refresh it for like $1.
Right.
Or you can I'll step away for an hour or two and
sure. No, I played it for a while too. I played it for a couple months, and it was very well written. And yeah, it was a very different experience. I think at the time I was playing it like 2 years ago or something like that. So
I'm sure it's changed a lot. Since then.
I'm sure they've expanded a lot more. So I know there's a spin-off game where you like explore.
Yeah, that's more like it's a ship exploration. I cannot remember think of the name of it.
Yeah. Have you played it?
I have not.
All right. Well, if you get a chance to play it?
Yeah, because if I can't think of the name of it right now.
Right. Well, if you get a chance to play it, we'll review it. Next up, another podcast for me. And I know we've mentioned this before on the podcast, but I want to reiterate how great this podcast is.
Please do.
How did this get made? A film where several comedians get together and just talk about a bad movie that they saw. And
I've heard many a great episode of this show.
But they
like Double Team.
Yes, but they've been recently hitting it out of the park because I actually got to listen to several episodes while I was waiting on the fucking tarmac on my plane trip. And so I listened to Deep Blue Sea, which they did live, which was amazing because I will spoil one joke in that. And they talk about that Scandinavian actor whose name I can't pronounce. He played the scientist in Thor. Mm-hmm. What was his name?
I don't know, but I know you're talking about.
The guy says, Solon Skargard. Oh, his name autocorrects to Stellar Skateboard. And so Stellar Skateboard has his arm bitten off by a fucking shark. And that's and the thing is, they do research on the movies. They listen to the director's commentary or whatever commentary is on the movie. They read up on the internet about it. And so they would talk about like how the reason why LL Cool J is so much in that movie is because they liked him as an actor. Like, let's give him more shit to do. We like LL Cool J. Let's put him in more in the movie.
Yeah. And I think you also mentioned The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Island of Dr. Moreau.
That one you actually kind of mentioned like one of your favorite parts.
Which one?
That Marlon Brando refused to learn any lines.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. The first thing they talk about in that is that Marlon Brando had an earpiece, which you can see in some scenes. And so someone would be feeding him his lines, and then the earpiece would bleed over into the police band, and so he'd be like, "Yes, I played God. There's a robbery at Woolworths in progress."
Because I think this was like 1996.
1996, yeah.
So this was like I think 4 years before he died.
Yeah, 5 years.
He was 2001, right?
No, I think it was actually 2003. The last movie he was in was The Score, 2001. Yeah. With De Niro. But this was his next to last movie. But yeah, he died pretty soon after The Score. So it was after 2000.
The thing is, like, when he said like he refused to learn his lines, like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. But it was utterly hilarious. Great episode. And then finally, Face Off.
You know what? That episode I need to hear.
You fucking definitely need to hear that one because one of them, Jason, fucking defends him. He's like, this movie is great. It starts out with a child being murdered, and then it goes up from there. And it's like, yeah, no, it's holy shit. Face Off is a fucking insane movie. And so if you want to listen to another podcast, if you run out of time, you should definitely listen to How Did This Get Made.
Because the one that sticks out with me is Punisher Warzone.
Yeah, because they got the director.
And Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, that's true. They got
and suddenly, like, hearing what was happening, like, oh my God, that movie makes so much more sense now. Yeah. Because it's like there were two movies there. Mm-hmm. One, a really serious, dark, and gritty Punisher movie. Yeah. And then Batman and Robin.
It's a great stuff. You had another game that you've been playing.
Yes. As anyone know, I'm a big fan of turn-based strategy games.
Yep.
And I've been playing Endless Legend, which is kind of a fantasy...
Sci-fi kind of thing.
No, there's Endless Legends, the fantasy version.
Yeah, okay.
There's another Endless game that's a sci-fi game.
Well, Endless Dungeon, it's all set in the same world. Like,
but it's Endless... It's more fantasy.
Okay.
I guess fantasy with like magical technology.
Science fantasy.
Sure.
Yeah.
But one of the factions are dragon people.
Okay.
So, I mean, they basically at that point like, yeah, I'm good.
That's all they need.
That's all they needed to do.
Yeah. Got that squared away.
But yeah, it's a fun game. Very much kind of like reminds me of Civilization.
Okay.
Which I'm always a big fan of Civilization. Sure. So, yeah, definitely recommend that game. It's actually it's pretty cheap, too. It's only like $20.
Okay. Yeah.
So. I'm all like, thank you, Steam, for cheap, good games.
or fuck you, Steam. God damn it, Steam.
Or fuck you, Steam, for cheap, god-awful, are you serious games.
Or fuck you, Steam, for taking all my free time and money by giving me so many games that I will never be able to play all of them, but I must buy them because of sales.
And finally, a game that I had on my wish list for like a year has actually finally gone on sale, and it's still too expensive.
What?
The newest RPG Maker.
Ah.
It is now 40% off, and it is still $37.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that is the tragedy.
White people problems.
First world problems, yes.
Yeah.
Very much. Finally, I would like to mention Mitch Murder, which is a synthwave electronic musician. The guy behind Kung Fury recommended him, and so I started downloading some of his music. And it's basically 80s music that was made like last year. So it's
great.
Inspired by the 80s, but not 80s. So like Hotline Miami type music.
God, I love that fucking soundtrack.
So Mitch Murder is great. Yeah, no, there's a whole subgenre now of synth.
Like Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon. I've gotten bored of I can't listen to Blood Dragon anymore. Except for like one song, Sleeping Dragons. That's the only one I like on that soundtrack anymore. Because I've listened to it too much. So I can't listen.
You need to avoid that with music.
Right. So like I have a massive like 6-hour synthwave playlist that I play in random. It's actually pretty good. It's very good music.
Good.
I like it. But Mitch Murder's on there. So yeah.
Excellent.
Anyways, finally I would like to talk about anecdotes. Because we do that.
Yeah, the games have not and what we're going to do is they haven't been posted yet.
Right. So Red Markets we're playing. That's the main campaign right now. Caleb is doing that, and we've been talking about that on the Game Designers Workshops.
But we're not going to talk about that until Caleb's here.
Well, I mean, we could give some hints, and because I already mentioned this on the Facebook group. One of because I already mentioned on the Facebook group. We had this thing of doing side businesses now, where we found like some loot. You actually weren't there for when you found it, but last session we figured out how to deal with it. The loot was a cache of real dolls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look them up.
Yeah. Or not.
Or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't.
Save your soul.
Yeah. Not safe for work. It's not. It's definitely not safe for work to look that up, and you may not want that in your browser history. But we found them, and we had two options. One was to take them all the way to their intended destination and try and sell them, which that's another job.
That's driving or walking.
Or we could just sell them in our enclave, but we need a sales agent. And so
leave it up to Caleb to think of great NPCs.
But no, we did.
Oh, that's right, we did.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Caleb is trying to do the thing where we are collaborative. We helped come up with the Enclave. We came up with our own elements, and so I came up with the name. So who is the name of someone who is creepy but reliable? Someone who you could use as a salesman. And so for me, my thinking was like some guy he's touchy and like he skeezy. So I'm like, it just popped in my head. Felt Touch Phil. So. With that, tell us about our little encounter with Felt Touch.
First of all, he was. God, I'm trying to think.
He was an adjunct row. He was like living in a tent,
and total perv.
Yeah,
but loves a good deal. Loves a good business deal.
Yeah,
and the voice Caleb did for him was pretty amazing.
He does a good creepy voice. And so he's our salesman. We aced our negotiation chart. So he's selling our real dolls for us. So every game we get 7 bounty worth of real doll sales.
Yeah, and we worked it too, and just one of them, he gets the whole 7.
Yeah. Well, no, that's our cut after that. So he gets his commission based on that. So there's 4 it's 4 games, 4 sessions, 7 per. So each of us gets 7. Later on, Aaron sold his share to me, so I'm getting half of it, of the proceeds.
Yeah.
But that's another thing.
Aaron had a whole thing happen.
He did have a whole thing happen.
I wasn't there for that deal. I was busy P90Xing.
Yes. Well, I mean, for him the setup for that, but the payoff was in that session.
Yeah, I was there for the payoff.
Yeah. So,
in fact, even my huge guy, like, just, wow, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. Those are some little helps. We also we get to make up little locations in the Enclave. Like I made up I Am Pastries, an architectural theme pastry shop. And then,
David came up with was it something surprise?
Guess This Mess.
Guess This Mess.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole point is it's cans with no labels, and for just a fee, you get to pick out a number of cans and eat whatever's in them.
Yeah.
Depending on how it goes, you might get something really fresh and good.
Yeah.
Or you might get, it still tastes like cream corn, except it's supposed to be deviled ham.
Caleb had us role play NPCs who were eating there, and that we had to. Oh, what are you getting? Oh, did you get it? Oh, you got something else.
And I have Dr. Katz.
Yeah.
My therapist.
Yes. So yeah, some good role playing in there. But for the main thing, for the other anecdote,
Aaron ran a mini campaign of.
It was a full campaign. It was like 6 or 7 sessions.
Yeah, but of Atomic Robo.
Yeah.
And I think we were all playing employees of Tesladyne. I think we all came up with pretty good characters.
Yeah, I took my idea from. I think we talked about this podcast before. Someone on the Facebook group suggested I play a human who thinks he's a robot. So that's what I did. Mm-hmm. A crazy person. You played a Nazi dinosaur.
Mm-hmm. I was formerly a member
Nazi
of the
dinosaur.
party.
Not Nazi dinosaur.
But I quit that party.
Nazi dinosaur. I mean, it's like a tattoo. It never comes off. Except when it can.
Dan came in later.
Yeah. As a bio-mega cat thing. But we had some good times in that. And we wound up going back in time to fight.
Okay, actually, I think one of my favorite things, just between you and me, is you would constantly go, you need to be careful. You have to control your animalistic rage.
Oh, yeah, no, you're just a killing machine, and you're going to, control your bloodlust.
Yeah, I will be sure I do that.
Yes, exactly. No, we don't want any more collateral damage. I know you feed your eyes when you see humans, you still think of them as prey. At least your instinctual mind does. You must fight your instincts.
Yeah, the whole joke was I never did.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff.
No, I was. Yeah,
but it was still great.
I mean, I was a crazy person.
Once again, that's why I love. It was pointless character banter that was awesome.
Yeah. There were good fight scenes too, and the good action scenes.
I think one of my favorite scene between you and me is we had to. We were in the streets of Germany.
Yeah.
And we had to move a dinosaur person and a giant tiger.
Yeah.
And David was taking care of hiding the giant tiger.
Yeah, I think the giant tiger had stealth. You didn't have stealth.
I didn't have stealth.
So we had to come up. So I was a social character.
Thankfully.
Yeah. So it was a German nightclub, so I figured performance art. So I think I'd put a top hat on you or something, and
I was austerity Rex.
Yes, you were austerity. So he's austerity. This is a performance art. It is destroying the environment and the economy. He's destroying our economy. Let us in the.
And I just feel we have to save Greece.
Exactly. So that was a fun bit of subterfuge. And the whole campaign is fun. I mean, we'll start posting it once one of our other campaigns finishes.
Probably
Duality. I'm not sure which one. I haven't counted up to see which. Probably Duality. Yeah, Duality is a way farther ahead than Masks of 9/11.
Yeah, I think the whole the group was pretty in sync. We had a lot of
we'll do a postmortem at some point.
There were just good moments of us just talking in character.
Yeah, it's a more character focused campaign.
And none of it had anything to do with the game or the campaign. We were we're sitting alone here. We got some downtime. So let's talk about something.
Right. So yeah, just the joy of role playing. So, so that's something to look forward to. The other we haven't done much in the way of one shots lately. Although we will be I'll be playing Karen, which is a game we're animal people in a fantasy world. That'll be coming up, and that's about all. I mean, I'm finishing up Massive Nyarlathotep soon. Actually, hopefully in a few days, depending on what the decisions the players make.
In this, the year of our Lord 2136.
Tom, the campaign only took a year to do. only. So, this has been RPPR episode 115, The Agony of Choice. I'm Ross Payton.
And I am Tom Church.
And we'll talk to you guys next time.
До свидания.